Now, as a recent post on my Facebook shows, people with autism have dreams and goals and desires, as everyone does. But they can be slightly different sometimes because of the way people perceive us. And perception isn't easy for us, okay? You ask somebody with autism to think what somebody else outside of them is thinking, generally they can't do it unless they're taught to do it. So perception for us is what we see and what we live with. Our dreams and goals have a lot to do with how we perceive ourselves, how we want to be, who we want to be, and who we are. I could ask really weird questions. Well, since you have autism, aren't your dreams limited? And I'm like, really? That's got to be one of the, pardon the word, stupidest questions I think I've ever heard. Geez, do you say to the guy in a wheelchair, no offense meant towards people who live in wheelchairs, well, are your dreams and goals limited because you live in a wheelchair? That's rude. But people act like it's not rude to say that to people with autism. Like, hey, you have autism, so yeah, you know, maybe your dreams and goals are unrealistic. Well, what's unrealistic? Come on, people. I mean, okay, so one of the dreams I've heard people with autism have is, hey, I want to go to college. Well, that's unrealistic. You don't get the best grades in high school. Well, come on. I know people who are quote-unquote normal, and that's a fun statement. That's a whole different video. Who can barely make it through high school and get through college just fine. Well, I hear people say, well, you have autism, so you struggle with certain subjects. Will you be able to make it through college? Well, some of us can, some of us can't. But that's no reason not to try. I mean, dear Lord, that's not a reason to try. People say, one of the goals of many people I know on the spectrum, including myself, is someday I want to get married and have a family. Well, how realistic is that? I mean, you have trouble with socialization. You have trouble with, you know, sometimes understanding unspoken verbal cues. And it's like, we can learn. Thank you. I mean, it's not as simple as hard as people say it is. It frustrates me when people say, well, here are your dreams and goals, let's see what's realistic. I mean, I know very few people that go and sit down and look at their list of dreams and goals and go, hey, honey, let's go and look at what's realistic about these dreams and goals. I mean, yes, there are some dreams that may be out of reach, or we may need to modify how we get there, but I don't like this idea that, oh, just because you have autism, you can't get there from here. You know, there's just that little roadblock in the way. I do have to apologize there for a second. I did say, dear Lord, and it's like, but I get frustrated, you know. I didn't mean to really say that, but I get frustrated at this point of people sitting there and saying, well, here's your list of dreams, and I just showed you my cheat sheet, but here's your list of dreams, and let's limit what they are. Let's take a look at them and call some of them completely out of bounds just because you have autism. Have you tried to get to that goal? Have you worked towards getting to that goal? No. We're just going to call it a mulligan and say because you have autism, it's just out of your reach. Completely out of your reach. You don't even get the chance to try. You don't get to go up to bat. You just sit on the bench and watch. And life isn't meant to be a spectator sport. And I really don't like it when people sit there and say to people with autism, hey, do you just want to watch the rest of us have good lives? Because it's like, no, I'd rather live life. I'm not into being a spectator and saying, oh, isn't that nice? Such and such is a nice life. Such and such is doing this. Such and such is doing that. And here I am at home having the blog on Facebook. And oh, I really don't get out. I really don't get to do anything I enjoy. But hey, my life's good as it is. You know, geez. If life was supposed to be a spectator sport, somebody forgot to tell me. And half of the people I know with autism, I mean, it's not. I mean, to sit there and say, well, you can't date, you can't get married, oh, you can't hold a job, you can't, drive, you can't, and a lot of these things will come up because, oh, just because you have the autism, you can't. I get rather tired of this, you can't. At some point, I just sit there and say, watch me. Because that's who I am. Watch me, I'll do it. I'm not into my dreams and goals being limited without me trying. And I am determined to get to some of my dreams and goals someday. And I'm not into just sitting here and saying, well, poor me, I have autism, I really can't do what I want to do. No. Not what I'm into. Sure, it's frustrating. Sure, it's a little bit harder. But is anything easy ever as much fun as doing stuff that's hard? A lot of the time, no. Even though I think it'd be much easier sometimes to do easy things sometimes because it's like, hey, if that was easy, I'd be where I want to be now. But half the time it's like, oh geez, I have to go through a process of just getting there. But we can get to our dreams and goals even if we have to modify the dream or goal or figure out a way to get there via a different route than what other people use. I don't want to say something's impossible just because I have autism. Or something's impossible just because somebody says it's so. That's not my idea for people who live with autism. I do not sit there and say, well, hey, it's just impossible, Sure, there may be things that I may not succeed very well at. There may be times where it is too hard to do, and I'll just have to say, okay, that can't be done, but let's see how I can modify this so I can actually live a life. I mean, sure, there might be a few things out of reach, but are any of the goals unrealistic? I don't think so, Come on, I mean, I know people with autism who are married. So when people say, oh, are you sure you can get married? I've seen it, don't sit there and tell me, well, I don't know anybody with autism who's married. I do. So long-term goals matter. And when you have dreams and goals, you need to be able to share them with other people. Now, I know that's really intimidating with autism because people criticize you. People say, well, that's just unrealistic. I don't know how we're going to get there. Well, please, when people tell you that, ask them, do you know how you got from point A to point B? Or when you had a dream, did you know whether or not it was possible? I mean, come on. That'd be like telling Bill Gates, hey, you can't build a personal computer. And wait a second, sorry, Mr. Einstein, you can't, do a theory of relativity. Why? Well, it can't be proven. Geez, so these wild off the crazy ball ideas, oh, they just won't work. Well, that's all I gotta say. Bill Gates made the personal computer personal. They're not the big machines that were in the rooms. And Einstein's theory of relativity basically is how we understand relative physics and physics in general now. I mean, if these people had listened to these people and said, well, it's just not doable, Einstein would have sat in a patent office for the rest of his 60 years and probably never gotten anywhere. And Bill Gates, oh, he might be some kid working in well, not some kid, but some guy working in a pizza parlor somewhere going, well, I wasn't able to do it. I mean, come on. Really, yes, things are harder with autism. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Things are a bit harder. But to sit there and say, well, it can't be done. Well, geez, if it can't be done, then why try? You know, I've heard it plenty of times, well, it cannot be done. Well, geez, I don't know how many times Mr. Scott says that and then fixes that on Star Trek. Really? I mean, come on. Yes, you can't change the laws of physics, unless the laws of physics have a loophole in them, and, well, that's a whole different video, too. But, I don't see the limits. I mean, yes, they're there. People say, you don't see the limits. Well, yes, I see them. But when it comes to my dreams and goals, I'm not going to let my limits limit where I want to go. I cannot sit around and say, well, here are my limits and I just have to live with them. I like pushing my limits a little bit. In a safe way, mind you. Not in a dangerous, hey, I'm going to go jump out of an airplane without a parachute way, or break the law some way. No, no. Pushing the limits within safety and within reason, but not sitting there and saying, the limits are set. The parameters for my life are set. Because if the parameters for my life are set, what kind of life is that? I mean, that's not really a life at all. To sit there and say, well, the life parameters for somebody with autism is yay big, but yay wide, but yay... Really? Really? So you're just going to let my life parameters be set because I have autism? Okay. Have a nice time with that, because once I start proving you wrong, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know, Mr. Peters. I don't know what I'm going to do if you... Yeah, that's kind of what I get once in a while. And I don't mean to insult those of you who think we have our parameters are set. Yes, some of our limits are very hard to deal with. They're kind of hard and fast. But there are ways to mitigate the situations we want to get ourselves... Well, how do I say this? Not mitigate the situations. Mitigate the limitations or change how we get to the goal so the limitations affect it less than they would if we just tried to go at it the normal way. And I know that seems rather silly. You're saying, well, what are you saying? You want to go get to a goal by a different way that hasn't been tried, or the road less traveled? Well, yes. Because we can't always do a forward charge the same way everybody else does it at a goal or a dream. Because of the limitations. It's like, wait, I have this problem, but my goal is here, but this problem stands in the way. Let's see if we can't get to this goal while dealing with this problem. This may always be here, but we can get to this goal if I go around this way or go around that way. Because there are ways to mitigate what that limit is. And, you know, I'm sure somebody's laughing at this YouTube video because I'm just animated. And I do get animated over stuff like this because of the fact that I've had people say, it can't be done. It's just not possible. It's never been done. It can't be done. And it's like, excuse me? I'm going to try anyways, because saying it can't be done doesn't mean it's a law set in stone. You know, come on. It can't be done. Okay, that's what the Wright brothers were told about flying airplanes. You know, can't be done, just won't work. Or, geez, we can't break the sound barrier. You know, planes are supposed to fall apart at 300 or 400 miles per hour. Just can't be done, you know. Yeah, tell that to Mr. Yeager, you know, really. You know, hey, we can't get to the moon. The rockets will explode on the pad, and we can't put people on them. Hey, tell that to Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, you know. Just tell them, can't be done. Now, don't get me started with the conspiracy theories, alright? But there's a lot of this, it can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done, so don't go there. With normal people, okay, quote-unquote normal people. Like I said, that's a whole different subject that I'd love to cover one of these days. But if you don't do it to people like Buzz Aldrin, Bill Gates, you know, Walt Disney, oh yeah, nobody's going to want to watch your animated films. Or George Lucas, oh, nobody's going to want to watch your little, you know, laser sword show. you know, if these people overcame what people said they couldn't get done or couldn't do, then it's the same for people with autism.